Pop circles, ETs, Gaia consciousness, Patty Greer, Leak Project. It sure is an honor to have you on the show here with us, the Leak Project. How the heck are you?
I am feeling pretty good tonight. Glad to meet your new audience to my world.
Absolutely. It looks like you put together 8 films. Is that right?
I haven't had much social life other than the UFO events. I seem to be born to make movies the last 10 years of my life.
It's got to be fun, especially if you enjoy doing it. Now, I'm on your website right now, pattygreer.net, and before we get started into the podcast as far as the information goes and your findings, let's get to know you personally. I mean, what led you down this path of doing so much research that you put your life pretty much into putting together films?
It was definitely not on purpose. I never planned on it. I never researched it. I went through a bizarre episode with mercury poisoning from silver fillings, and next thing I knew, I woke up from a doctor's appointment, a dentist appointment with a mouthful of new mercury fillings when I paid for white porcelain. And as a harpist professionally for 33 years, if spirit wants to get my attention, bang, they took my fingertips. The mercury poisoning affected only my fingertips. And it stopped me from playing music. And it's been an interesting kind of episode, almost like a Disney ride, of mercury poisoning being a gift and a challenge. But ultimately, it really moved me into a way of life that I would have never imagined. So 12 years later, I'm grateful, although my fingertips are still not perfect. I would have never, ever known I was a filmmaker, and perhaps never even looked into UFOs or crop circles.
So it's like the universe pushed you, essentially.
Yeah, kind of. The universe pushed me in one of those wingsuits and said, okay, spread and fly, or go straight down. Yeah, I mean, when fingertips as a human, that kind of stinks. But all of a sudden, I decided to spread my wings instead of, jumping the cliff. I said, okay, what other body part can I use? Ooh, how about my brain? And it's amazing when you're no longer able to do the life you knew for a very long time, and you are given an opportunity to do life differently. And for me, I was just so dang desperate to heal. I tried every modality available in America. But I also live in America, so the doctors have to give you the wrong blood test for mercury poisoning in your teeth. I don't want to waste our show on that, but it's a pretty amazing thing they're doing. And bottom line, punchline, get the right test. There's only one place. It's called QuicksilverScientific.com. So if anybody has mercury fillings and you're feeling sick in numerous ways for years, it's probably the fillings in your mouth. But for me, I really think that I needed to be shown the loss of integrity in the world with medical, dental, legal, court. I mean, if I didn't see it firsthand, I would have never believed the bankers were really stealing from people. And my own financial advisor stole from me tens of thousands. I saw it myself. I experienced it. I mean, so I think that those of us that are going to be, it's a weird way to say it, but leading us into a new paradigm way to do lovely life on this planet, had to go through all these horrific experiences firsthand to see that none of this is fake. None of this is conspiracy theory. All of this, unfortunately, really has been happening. And if it happens to us and we're this passionate, we're sure as heck not going to give up on bringing it forward, the solutions. Have you had your tests, Rex?
As far as the mercury stuff goes, no, I don't have much mercury in my mouth, actually. I might have a tiny bit, and that's going to be taken out here pretty soon because I know the effects of it. And I wonder if, I know somebody that actually has constant migraine. She has her pretty much her whole life. I wonder if that could be a cause of it.
Well, I got to tell you, I don't talk about it on radio shows, but when I do, I always get a few thank you letters because people aren't being told. And it's another whole huge thing up there with vaccines. Just another horrible way to get mercury in people's bodies. It's not okay. And to have it in your teeth is really a bad idea. So the test, is being given the wrong test and then nobody knows. But bottom line, Quicksilver Scientific saved my life, gave me the right test. I had the fillings taken out, $10,000 more. And it's taken me years to heal. But what a gift, because I was so desperate to heal. Rex, I went and laid in a crop circle. Who does that?
How'd that work out for you? Did you feel some energy?
The very first one I walked in was like, whoa. I mean, I had no idea. I was just told But the people that told me looked completely different. I knew them for years, and I could see that they looked different. Energetically, they were completely different frequency. And I see that way with people. I don't remember their name, perhaps, if they told me, but I can certainly see their energy if it changed. And I was like, whoa, 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 stop. What's different about you? And they said, well, we just got back from the crop circles. And this was 2006. I was like, what's that? Tell me. And they explained it, and they said that people are doing all this healing, and that was all I needed to hear. And I was booked on a flight. 6 weeks later, I went in my first crop circle. And the next year I came back was when I got serious. I went for 9 weeks and spent every day and many nights in the crop circles. And that's where I really started to gather the information. But it wasn't like I did research. It was all about experience.
Now, when you go into these crop circles, I've actually heard before that they found like higher levels of radiation before. Have you ever found anything like that?
You know, there's different people looking for different things. I've never gone in with a magnetometer. I've never sat with people who just did a reading, so I don't have that answer. For me, I feel an enhanced electromagnetic field because the hair is standing up on my arms. Little teeny hairs because I'm a girl, but I get tingles head to toe, goosebumps. I mean, I feel crop circles. And I can feel it walking in, 10, 15 feet. I'll turn around to somebody behind me as we're walking in these long straight lines where the tractors drive their tires. It's called a tram line. But as you walk in the tram line, you don't know when the crop circle is over there in the field because you're just looking at a flat line of acres of wheat unless you're up on a hill. And that's about the only way you can tell where they are. They're kind of tricky to find. And all those years I was going, 2006, 7, 8, 10, 11, and 14. I went a lot of years. And I had to skip 2009 because I felt so marked. I was filming a lot, and I was followed by helicopters. And one day I had a very discomforting experience where they circled over me and a lady I was patiently waiting to film, but they circled us at about 50 feet above, tangling my hair for a good 20 minutes. I mean, really, it's an interesting kind of war on consciousness that we're in, don't you think?
Oh, it's beyond that. Not only on our consciousness, but on our bodies. And you look at everything from, I had a really nice conversation the other day with Dr. Paul Byrne, and he has basically made it a mission of his for the past, I don't know how many years, to uncover the organ harvesters, these companies that make billions of dollars getting organs out of people that are still alive. But because of the lobbyists and the bills that have been passed, if somebody, they can classify them as brain dead. And Dr. Byrne said there really is no such thing as brain dead, because once you're dead, you're dead. Now, but anyway, that's a whole other story. So yes, I would absolutely agree with you. There's just this systematic attack on anything that seems to be organic and good in this environment.
Well, that's just a ghastly subject you came up with, as well as what they're doing with children. I mean, this is why we are moving into what they're calling the event. And I think everybody has to have something positive to believe in, because can you even imagine how abominable that looks to higher dimensional beings?
Oh, yeah.
Look at what we're doing. I mean, that's really something. And to think of any of this when we have such a great opportunity to do such incredible things now. So the thing about crop circles, why isn't anybody talking about crop circles anymore? And I got to tell you the most awful thing, for the first time in almost 20 years, our research center at the epicenter closed this year. We have no silent circle for the first time in almost 20 years, because he said to me on the phone, business and interest has gone down 90% in crop circles. What?
Well, I mean, you've got Pokemon Go out now, and I can go watch, the Kardashians on TV, and there's 400 other channels, so why should I care about things like crop circles?
Right.
It's sad. It's so unfortunate. I went to the park the other day. I think I brought this up one time on my podcast before, that in the park, beautiful day, I'm taking my dog's on a walk with my family, and there's 4 or 5 different cars and SUVs in the parking lot with several people in each car, and they're all on their phones. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I'm like, they're playing Pokemon. I was like, this is insane. So yeah, it's welcome to the New World Order. It's 2016 now, and people seem to be plugged in. Just, you've got so much information on ETs, extraterrestrials, crop circles.
Tell them to go to pattygreer.net and be looking at crop circles while we do this show. Right?
That's a great idea. Absolutely. And if you want, I could probably even pull it up on the screen and we could go through the website if you'd like to do that and kind of hit on some points or something, or we can just use it as a background and they can look at it in the meantime. What would you prefer?
Stick up the home page at the bottom where there's all those beautiful crop circles, because, needless to say, what we're talking about with this phenomenon is a language. It's a communication that's coming from multiple sources to us and perhaps to anything flying over. I mean, when you see a photo of a crop circle, it's not because we're standing on a hill, it's because we're in an airplane shooting it. Or we're in a spaceship looking down on it. So who would see a crop circle? Why would they make it in a huge field that you can only see when you're right above it? Well, because it's for everyone flying over. It's also, thank God, for crazy people that'll get in an airplane and take pictures of crop circles. That's another gift, I'm going to tell you, was like a gift that I don't think I would do today. It's almost like, if you roll it up, then you can just see what's on the bottom. Just get to, there you go. See all those beautiful photos. It just, isn't that beautiful? What you're looking at, sir, are interior shots of a crop circle, and you can only take those when you're on the ground. And then when you see the full shots, like the entire photo, that's when you're up in the air in a small plane. So I started going and looking at crop circles in 2006. In 2007, I went back and I walked into and laid down in every formation I could find. What you're showing now, look at it, it's like a star. But look how brittle that wheat is. When it's brown, it's brittle. When it's green, it's supple, right?
Oh, yeah.
So as you look at photos of crop circles, early season, the really early ones, April perhaps into May, in Wiltshire, England, you'll see yellow, big, golden fields of canola, and some people call it rapeseed, but the crop circles look yellow. And then the wheat is swirled down into these patterns. And I've interviewed people that have gone into those rapeseed, or canola, I prefer to say, fields, and the owner of the research center that just closed, he said sometimes they were 8, 9, 10 feet tall. And he said it would be like getting lost in a maze. And he went in at sunset once. Oh my God, I don't know if I could do that. But I did crazy things, thank you, Mercury, I'm telling you. I just am world premiering I've been calling it my final crop circle movie, but somebody's tapping me on the shoulder to do the best of with all the footage I have and really explain it to more mass public. What do you think of that? Rather than always speaking to people like you who get it?
Yeah, what really should happen in order to get out to the public is you're going to have to get a deal with maybe a channel like, I don't know, the History Channel or the Discovery Channel, even Netflix now. If you've got Netflix, there's a lot of documentaries and films and short films also that are put on that specific medium that talk about ET files, the connections to some of the Nazi Arctic connections and stuff like that, alternative history possibilities. So I think that it's really being thrown out there into the masses now. I don't even think it's really considered much of a conspiracy anymore. There's a lot of things out there that are far more woo-woo than crop circles, especially when you break it down to the scientific like this. And, I know there was that documentary several years ago where it showed those people making crop circles after they were having a couple beers at the pub with the 2x4s and the fancy designs and stuff like that. But there's a big difference between a real crop circle and a made-up crop circle, right?
Yes, and what you probably don't know about me is that I have definitely the number one place as the most hacked UFO filmmaker ever. Just last week, pretty impressive, somebody actually got a hard drive out of the post office, took data off it. I mean, when I received it, there wasn't wrapping or the power cord, half the data was missing. It had been taken out of the post office. And I asked him again today, my editor, are you apps? Anyway, yeah, it's my work has scared someone for many years, and it's because I didn't research other people's work. Remember, I told you in the beginning of the show, I wasn't looking to learn about crop circles. I was looking to heal my hands. I went and laid in a crop circle, and then, oh my God, it was amazing. I went back the next year. Okay, now look at this crop circle you're showing. It's like woven wheat. It's brown, it's brittle. That's just a masterpiece. Masterpiece. So what I've done is not listen. I haven't listened to any of the misinformation. I didn't read anybody's book. I just went and started laying in crop circles. And at the end of my second year, 2007, I had an ET interaction, and I was taken. And I never really talked about it until the recent movie that I just finished, which is really exciting. It's called Crop Circle Diaries, and it's my brand new movie, available on the website. You can stream it or I send it out, but I just have done a few world premieres at some of the big events. I'm actually sending it off to get the color done just a little bit more, cha-ching, cha-ching, there's another $1,000. Making movies, oh my God, I would have never done this if I knew what it was about, but the experience of going in these crop circles, I mean, I'm just leaning over, taking a photo going, oh my God, every element of everywhere I'm looking, like the photo you're looking at, is just right, left. Everywhere I looked was a magnificent lay of brittle wheat like this. The interesting thing about crop circles is many of them are correlating to things in history that people can relate to. And I want to talk about, in particular, 2009. This was an unusual summer because crop circles come in a variety of different methods. We have pictograms, which are like pictures, a jellyfish, a thunderbird, a sacred geometry is another one. A code is another one. We've had a binary code and a Morse code. So, there's different ways that they deliver. Sometimes they're like mathematical layouts into an orbit, so they're like star maps, perhaps for their other ET friends, right? So this particular formation is called the Avebury Manor. And the thing about it was this beautiful orbit, and it was looked like a star map, and it had different layouts of the planets, but somehow somebody said that they felt like there was too much information. And it appeared that next day that the farmer had taken his tractor and mowed 3 big white stripes through the formation. And he kind of hurt the pattern, and it was like he was either blocking the information, or he didn't want people on his farm, or he was told, destroy the data. And we don't know. So this is an interesting thing that was going on for years with crop circles when I was over there in the fields day after day. And so what did the circle makers do? They came back and they splatted his field with all these other little formations. And that's what you're looking at now in this group of 8 or 10 gorgeous interior shots. Everywhere I looked, look at this, totally different. That's actually a different formation. I just love the point of light.
Yeah, that's great.
All those interior shots, I mean, it was like you don't want to mess with the circle makers. I really think these messages are very intentional and very clear. So in 2009, I was talking about all the varieties of messages that we can see in crop circles, but this particular summer was all birds, fish, bugs. It was the dragonfly, the scarab, and then it went the sea creatures. We had the beautiful long octopus and the really organic squid, and then the swimming dolphin in a circle crop circle. And, so it's like birds, fish, bugs, and there's the thunderbird and the hummingbird. You remember the hummingbird crop circle?
Mm-mm.
Well, it looked like the Nazca line hummingbird. It's like for your brain to go ching, to remember. And, they're all messages to give us like a pattern of information that really I think is very important. So what was that all about? No other, like star maps, codes. It wasn't like any trickery. It was pictures, birds, fish, bugs. And the following season, the BP oil spill happened and killed many, many of those species. I felt it was a correlation. I felt they were a warning.
I have not heard that theory before, but now that you bring it up, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, my goodness, now I wonder if you look at some of those more intricate ones that most people would say, wow, that's just got to be a hoax because it looks so incredible. It doesn't look like just a couple of discs in a field somewhere. I mean, you're talking real intricate beings and stuff like that. So you think, okay, now if this is real, and if these are made by these higher intellect beings as a warning, then some of the other stuff that you see and present makes you wonder, what are they telling us there? What can we do to stop it? Or is it just like they're letting us know about it before it happens, and it's going to happen anyway? It doesn't really matter.
Well, I think that the they sometimes includes us. And the most amazing thing that's happened to me in my 10 years of crop circling is that, and this is such a bizarre story, which I never told until I just made what I've called my last crop circle movie, Crop Circle Diaries. And like I said, I just finished. I've done some world premieres. It's on my website, available to watch, pattygreer.net. And it just exposes the final science that's been suppressed for years, and also the story of how they suppressed it, which just blew my mind. But there was one scientist in the world who proved that crop circles were real for decades in his lab in Michigan. And he had a partner that nobody's ever heard about, Penny Kelly. And they worked together 2-3 days a week for long days, looking at all kinds of biophysical evidence from crop circles, week after week, 10 feet out from the center, 10 feet out from the center, perimeter of the circle, measuring the, I don't know what, the frequencies. I wasn't there at the lab, I don't think, like a scientist, but they were working with different locations in the crop circle without being there. They were sent these test samples, and they did a lot of experimenting in the lab. They also had a piece of the Roswell craft. This scientist was really respected, and then all of a sudden he knew too much, and bang, they just figured out how to hide his work. So interestingly enough, he died in 2013, and in 2014, of all things, I went through the most bizarre incident where he had been gone for a year, but I met him. He showed up, and there were witnesses, and he was like a hologram somewhere in between the worlds, but people saw him right there next to me. And then I saw him when I went to the ranch, or the farm, a month later, where they had done a lot of their experiments, and I saw him myself walk right through a door. So Penny had said he wasn't done here yet, but he had to leave, and then he goes and gets me, this goofy little filmmaker, a little high on mercury poisoning all those years ago. So I got all the footage. I would do just about anything, go up on the high spots at night, walk through the fields at night. This last weekend I was speaking in Sacramento, and they showed my new movie, and I'm just stunned at some of the stuff I did back then. I would not do it tomorrow. So that's what I said, kind of bittersweet, but a blessing, because...
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you, too, when you would see this person just kind of disappear, I mean, what did that make you think? Like, did you think you were losing your mind, almost?
No, I didn't see him disappear. It's a pretty long story, and it just makes me sound wacky if people don't know really more about... I'm older, I'm a grandmother, I did not mean to come into this. I was a musician my whole life until, for some reason, it appeared that I needed to lose the use of my fingertips and quit playing harp and piano professionally, writing songs since I was 16. But all those songs, are soundtracks for all 8 of my movies, like Who Knew?
Right.
In soundtracks, I'm going, oh, wait a minute. How could I have known those lyrics that long ago? So, I start to see, like, wow, how long has this been planned? Who's behind this? Am I a puppet? But not really. I'm an artist. And I think that even when people think humans are making crop circles, some of them might actually be working with the circle-making energy. So what I learned about Penny Kelly and William Levengood's research is, this is really mind-boggling, Rex, is that crop circles are coming out of the earth. They're not coming out of the sky.
Let's talk about that for a second. They're coming out of the earth. It's probably some type of gravity or frequency machine, if it is a machine. Or do you think it's just like the natural resonance of the universe and some type of natural phenomenon? I mean, what's the underlying theme? I've heard of beings that live under the world that have, catacombs and all that kind of stuff too. Who knows? I haven't seen them personally, so I'm agnostic, yet I could certainly see the possibility as well.
I love how that lit you up, because it really incites everybody to go, what? The earth? So every morning, I so I'm not going to do a really long story about how I met Penny the first time, Penny Kelly. But once I realized who she was, I had to come back. She said, "In a month is William Levengood's wake. Please come back." And so I did, and it was at her farm and at his lab. Oh my God, really interesting to be in there with all the stuff that they worked on. You could totally feel it. Every photo I took, you could see him, this big white orb in every photo moving around the lab. And then out on the property, big white orb just about a foot off the ground. Yeah, I really feel him, and so does Penny. And the movie took me 3 months, but it kills the science if you're willing to open your mind. Oh my God, it gave me a headache. I'm serious. So I went there for 3 days. I stayed for 3 weeks, and I literally would go to breakfast every morning, put my elbows on my knees, wrap my hands around my head, and I'd hold my head and I'd say, "Okay, tell me again. How do crop circles happen?" And on like day 2, 3, she's like, "Come on, take your hands off your head. You look silly." And I said, "No, I'm serious. This actually hurts my head," because we're all used to thinking something else. So here's what they discovered, and they did all these tests with magnets. So you're right, spot on with the beginning idea. Here's how it goes. And again, I'm going to say it's their theory, but they did a lot of experiments with crop circles. And then I got proof positive because I met Stephen Greer in the middle of a crop circle. And when you hear that story, it's like, oh my God, Levengood was right. So here's what they said. The crop circles are coming out of the earth in counter-rotating vortices, like a pair of little tornadoes that are spinning, coming out of the earth, counter-rotating. So one's going clockwise, one's going counterclockwise, and there are these spinning energy fields of frequencies. So they are seen as balls of light when they get to the right frequency when they're ready to make a crop circle. Some of the crop circles, perhaps, if there was a group of people sitting over there meditating yesterday in my movie, in the Avery Stone Circle, they're creating a free energy device, and they were praying with their technical team, 12 people sitting there in a stone circle, spend their 7,000 years, pilgrimages across Europe to be in that stone circle to add to that frequency, that high spiritual energy. So they really did this confirmation. Please, give us a crop circle that'll give us an affirmation that our device is going to work. And the next day, I meet them in the back of a crop circle. And it looked like a human-made crop circle because the hair didn't go up on my arms. It didn't look like it from the air. Oh my God, the photos of that crop circle were unbelievable. But the hair didn't stand up on my arms. I didn't get tingles. And I had a really big film job and a drone flying over, and I was like, oh God, I don't want to say it out loud, but I think this one was human-made. And all of a sudden, there's these beautiful women in the back of the crop circle. I said, "What do you ladies think?" And they said, "We're the Quantum Energy Free Energy Team, QEG, and here's a photo of our device," and we were the ones in the Avery Stone Circle, "and here's a photo from the area of the crop circle we're in." And I got to tell you, Rex, they were the same schematic. And it was like, oh my God, human-made crop circles can be real. So here you've got crop circle coming out of the ground, which to me is not the beings in the caverns or anything else. We're talking about a living earth. We have hair, she has trees. We have little hairs on our arms. She has plants and flowers. I mean, she's a living being. She breathes like us. She's just a whole lot bigger with a whole lot more on her, but she's a living being. And what are we doing? We're fracking her. We're sucking her blood out. Now and then she started to shake. So crop circles, I think, have been a very gentle and consistent means of communication that she's always sending and listening to us. So as we pray and say, "Please give us a crop circle, let us know to keep working on this free energy device. Let me know that you're hearing me." Another group of women over here in a circle, and they get their goddess crop circle. I mean, there are a lot of physical manifestations of humans doing a prayer and then a crop circle happening, even if a human team make it. So that's what I'm saying. I was blown away that even human teams are doing real crop circles. And then there's the crop circles where I walk in and it's like zing! I mean, I'm just like bang, really strong. In my feeling, in my intuitive sense, I would think that those are very ET, because to me they have an immediately higher frequency of all of, when you're if I had a Richter scale, those are the peak. And so I think that all three of us are involved. The earth, not any beings inside, but the earth, the mother, the whole planet, her energy, her communication, and us, humanity, listening, responding, breathing with her, and all of the rest of the atmosphere wrapped around the earth. I mean, it's not just us. So you could actually go to the next page, which is crop circles. X out top right. It's great. Nobody's ever done the website. Go to, crop circles.
Look at that. This is like the Led Zeppelin cover.
The second one is the one I was just telling you about. Not that one. That one's this one. This is the QEG. No. Yeah, the yellow one is the QEG.
So let me get this straight. They had a technology essentially that combined with the Earth's natural resonance, it created this. Is that what I'm gathering?
This is the crop circle. This is the crop circle I was talking about, the QEG free energy device. And when you look at their machine, you have to lay this a quarter turn. But this is a shot we did with the drone. And if you look at that little dot way up at the top in the center, there's kind of a funny looking thing. That's 6 of us laying in a circle. Me, Sasha Stone, and the QEG family. Oh my God, that was such a great day. Yeah. But I learned even crop circles made by humans are also real crop circles, some of them. Certainly not the sloppy ones or the ones that are done with an ill intention. But, I've really opened up to such a more possibility is all I should say. And when you look at all of us creating the crop circles, the earth, human consciousness, and ETs, perhaps they need a star map laid down for their following ships that are coming in a day or so. So they'll throw down a star map and they'll speak to the earth. And the next day, the crop circle will come spinning out of the earth in counter-rotating vortices. It's spinning, and that's when they will add their frequencies to create that exact message of what they need to leave in the field. And it spins and spins, and it gets to the exact frequency, boom. What we see is a ball of light at the base of each vortex. What I found in the only footage that people have seen before is that those two balls of plasma that are spinning send an immediate binary code, a communication to each other saying, I'll do this, you do that, and they lay the crop circle down in seconds. And my final crop circle movie, which is Crop Circle Diaries, friggin' kills it. You can see crop circle laid down in seconds a number of times in the first, I think, 15 minutes.
When you said that these people made the crop circle, how did they do it, though? Was there a technology that they used, like a box or something? I mean, that's what I was trying to grasp.
People do it with boards and ropes. So
this one right here?
Yes.
Okay, boards and ropes. So nothing fancy, boards and ropes. Okay. I didn't know if they had some type of tech device. It was like a drone that was zapping some laser stuff that was, anyway. All right, cool.
That's a fantasy that a lot of people have. I can't tell you yes or no, but Penny Kelly and Levengood did say that within these spinning plasmic fields, they have found evidence of a variety of different frequencies with distinct boundary conditions. And they said that all of them were beneficial to the plant, except the ones that were sent down by the military, which were microwave. And those ones were injurious to the plant, and the plant died. The thing about real crop circles is there's biophysical evidence that it happened, but the plant, afterward, you're going to love this, the seeds, if treated in a quiet place for 4 to 6 weeks, and then put it in soil, they will grow 30 to 400% more food with up to 75% more nutrition per plant. And that right there, my friend, is why they hid Levengood's research.
What's remarkable, if we could use that type of technology or just resonance, it'd be great for our crops, and it would certainly take, these giant companies like Monsanto out of business, yet they just find some other thing to poison. But anyway, this one right here is remarkable. I really like the grid patterns and stuff. And if that's how these crop circles are made, or is by the earth itself, that's a whole other ball game. I find that remarkable, and that would point to consciousness being connected with earth, connected with everything. That's fantastic.
It's a much bigger picture. Much bigger picture. I like it that you can relate to it easily because I mean, how can we deny that the earth is a living being? How can we deny that it is a female energy? We can't. You know, it's a living um, energy that reproduces life constantly. Now, look at this one. Here's another 3D photo. I took this one. I flew over. I was also in it. So I love it that you pulled this one up now because see those little dots left of center?
Oh yeah.
Those are people. That's how big that formation is. See the very center of the formation? It's kind of hard to tell because you fall into the Escher, the MC Escher of it. But the very center top is where I met Stephen Greer. And it was in the middle of this crop circle in 2010. And he had a group and he was holding two compasses. And I came in with my boyfriend and my big camera, and it was like, you guys need to move. I need to film from the center. I mean, I'm kidding. But, you know, when I'm like crop circling, I just can't wait to get to the middle and do the big sweep. And so there was this nice group in the middle. So luckily, Stephen and I, it was our first time we met, and I introduced myself. And he said, Patty Greer, Stephen Greer, oh my God, so hug, hug. So that's how I met him. He said, come join the group. And he's holding two compasses. Check this out, Rex. One's going north, and the other's going north in the opposite direction, in the middle of that crop circle, counter-rotating vortices.
Now that's interesting.
Right? I have a photo of it. So every time I do a talk, I show the 11 good sketch, and Stephen, actually, he's holding it with his hand. It's like the only laugh I get, Stephen's crotch, you know, holding two compasses north, right?
Right.
But truly, it is a remarkable theory, and needless to say, they suppressed it because it's going to grow so much more food, and it is a very simple science. The thing that's incredible is when they brought it down to what's really going on. What it is crop circle science. It's crop circle science is based on plasma, and everything is plasma. And what they found was that when you learn to manipulate plasma, first you have to learn to measure it. And that's been the hardest part, is how to measure. You're holding a glass of water, it's all plasma, it's all moving. How do you measure it? And when you can figure out, and this is what they were working on, and this was his final statement, when you can measure plasma, you can reproduce it over here. And so in my movie, Penny's holding, you know, in the air like air glass. She says, so when you learn how to measure and manipulate anything physical, basically, you can reproduce it over here. So the world will never run out of water. And yeah, I mean, we already have everything we need. And basically, the punchline of the entire wisdom of crop circles and the technology bringing them, which is spinning plasma fields with the right intention, we can create anything. We can also reproduce our food magically, but physically, just by honoring the fact of what it really is. And they said once humanity figures that out, the old way was based on gas and oil and nuclear, but the new systems are all going to be based on plasma, clean, immaculate. And that's how everything's going to shift instantly. Instantly.
Now, when do you think something like that would actually happen? Do you think we're saying 10 years from now, a million years from now?
I think it's any week. I really do. I think so many basements and garages and attics and backyard. I mean, I think there are spaceships over there in this guy. I mean, I'm telling you, we are ready to explode with greatness. And I think we're that close. So I think that it's time humanity learned to listen. And when I look at me not knowing anything about crop circles, but the guidance I've had to make 8 movies in 10 years, I'm not that smart. All this stuff happened while I was sleeping. I woke up and I'm like, oh, come on, leave me alone. And in the morning I had pages of notes. I was in the right place at the right time, but I also stuck myself in Wiltshire at a beautiful B&B in the middle of the epicenter and got a nice breakfast served and coffee with cream. It was nice. And then I just go out crop circling for the day. But once a year I would share a B&B room with Barbara Lamb. Have you ever interviewed her?
I talked to her, yes, a year and a half ago. Really nice lady.
Well, Barbara Lamb is one of those, probably the most amazing crappie in my book. and she's the one I have shared a B&B with a few times. Like before she does her group, she has a group come over and she'll take 10 or 12 people in a big van, and she's just so much fun. But before that, she and I are teenagers for 3 days. So we meet before, and she and I just like dash for it. We go see all of them really fast, and so we're staying at this B&B, and we get up in the morning, and the lady is serving us coffee and cream, and it's a beautiful day, and we're just like tinkling our eyes, like, oh goody, what are we going to see today? And the lady says, oh, by the way, ladies, there's a new crop circle right across the street. And we're like, what? She said, oh yes, right across the fence there. And she points out the clear glass, we're in like a sunroom. I don't know if Barbara splashed the coffee, if she jumped out of the chair, but we were like out the door without coffee so fast and crossed the road, and we're looking at this metal gate, and it was about 6 feet high, and the two of us are barely over 5 feet. And she's even 10 years older than I am. And so we're looking at the gate, and I turned around, and I mean, the second I looked over, she was over there. She had, I don't know how she did it. But when I say I've been in more than 100 crop circles, Barbara Lamb has been in more than 2,000.
Now, she's also done a lot of regression sessions with people, hypnosis, right? Where she's helped people discover, like, when they've been taken and abducted, the experiences that they had.
More than 2,000. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's something else. Anybody gets the chance to meet her, she is something else. But, you know what's fun, and I think this is what I'm really finding now in the field, because I'm a speaker now at a lot of the big events, is there's this real wheat and chaff splitting that I'm seeing, but many might not. I think that there's a lot of people well paid, and then I think there's people really with interesting stories to share. And it's a big challenge right now because we've never been closer, and some people are really scared of the public knowing too much. Well, that's just ridiculous. It's not up to anybody. It's up to the public to choose to wake up or not. But the information is definitely being squashed. I'm just blown away, but I'm finding my way like a helium balloon. And it's not about me. It's about the data getting out. And shows like yours, Rex, get down, get up again. I'm so glad that the internet is banging, right?
Oh, it's great. It's a wonderful platform. I've met some amazing people, talked to some wonderful people, and I am just really excited to hear about what happened to you when you were picked up by extraterrestrials. I can't wait to hear about this. Will you tell our audience?
Well, I wasn't picked up, and again, I feel like it's such a weird thing to tell people that don't know me because it's so crazy, and I did put it in my movie because I figured I could show it better, because all of a sudden there was an artist who actually painted it, and it was just pushed in my face. All of my experiences that are telepathic appear to be pushed in my face, where they just show up, and things keep happening. And where I just shake my head, a lot of times I point to the sky, but now I have to change my thinking and also point to the earth. This is really new thinking, isn't it?
I don't know. I think maybe if you look at the past 100 years or 50 years, yet it's kind of a cyclical thing. Look at some of the ancient texts and knowledge where you would have somebody that would spend so many hours of the day just meditating and focusing on self and being in tune with nature, and the natives that have been systematically taken out, which is unfortunate, and that's probably why, because of this alternative ego that's trying to get rid of anything pure that has this ancient knowledge, it seems. Yet there's enough of us out there, like you said, that want to know the truth, and people are continuing to search for the truth, so it's going to happen. You can only stop it so long before people get together and you've got the mass consciousness of awakening.
Well, for some reason, they're just shoving it in my face. And I keep going and being a speaker at interesting events. And I look around the panel of who the speakers are, and it's just like I shake my head going, oh, lucky me. But it's not just that. They're putting us together so that we really get it, how to like move all of our thinking into a new way of living. I really think we're going to be free of everything very soon. And especially just the old way of not being good to thy neighbor. I just think we've really been, look who's running for president. You go to another country, they'd say, don't even say you're American, pretend you're Canadian. It's like, I don't want to lie. And it's like, well, that's embarrassing right now. Other countries are like wondering what happened to us, that we don't have people we'd be really proud of. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that term before about saying you're Canadian when you go to Europe too. It's sad, but it's so true. It is so true. You don't have to, if it's going to make you feel uncomfortable, certainly, you don't say anything, but it would be great to hear what your experience was like. Just a little gem that you could give us, and then maybe that would whet the appetite in order to go pick up your movie, because there's several films you put together, and I just want to let our audience know about it. You've got Crop Circle Diaries, Women of Today, The Shift Has Hit the Fan. I like the title of that one. Crop Circle Update, The Wake Up Call, Orbs and Light Beams, The Wake Up Call, Anybody Listening, We're Already in It, 2012, and then UFOs, ETs, Abductees, and Brilliant Minds. And all this is available, folks, at pattygreer.net.
Well, thank you. And like I said, I had no training. I never planned to be a filmmaker. I used to have a lot of money in the bank, a house. I travel. I was sitting just fine because I worked all my life, and never thought about spending my entire everything on making a bunch of movies, and then learning that the industry is extremely difficult. Corrupt is a good term. So I went to England. I started getting into these crop circles, and at the end of the long summer, 2007, I had the experience where I felt that I had passed out in a beautiful formation called Sugar Hill. I don't know if it's in this group of photos that you've got here, but Sugar Hill was absolutely gorgeous. And I was laying down in the middle, and I thought that I passed out. When I woke up, my skin was really tight, kind of sunburned, and I saw things in the sky I had never seen before. My vision was different. My hearing was incredible, and I felt different. And 6 months later, I made a full feature film. And I didn't mean to. And I went to the seminar at the end of this long summer. After I had had this experience, I didn't really know what happened, but I felt like my senses were really enhanced. Like I said, I could see things in the sky, which was basically, now I know what to call it, is plasma. I could see it all the time. But I also do orb and ball of light plasma workshops, and then I take people outside, and everybody's screaming, "Oh my God, I see it," because you really can. There's so much more that we can see. We just have to stop texting or, whatever, and look up. Look up with consciousness and relax your eyes. Go into a stare. I mean, it's not that hard to start seeing more in the sky, but people aren't looking. And I find it really interesting that here we've had about 30,000 documented crop circles. Did you know that?
I hadn't heard that number before, no.
It's alarming that there's a website in America, I can't remember what it's called, but if you went U.S. crop circles, you'd find it ICCRA or something. It's initials, but they clocked all the crop circles in America, and 2000 to 2006, there was like 20 a year in the U.S. I don't remember that.
No, I wonder why also a lot of them are in specific parts of the world. I guess maybe it just has something to do with the resonance, or maybe a vibration, or maybe it's just because there's going to be more of an impact at that certain part of the world. Have you ever thought about that?
The first two are correct in my feeling, and the third, I don't know. The consistency, 96 or 7% of all documented crop circles, which means reported ones, is that they've all been sitting over an aquifer of water or a source of water. 96 or 7% is almost all. About the same high percentage of them are all sitting on a ley line, which is a direct line between two sacred sites on a map. You lay out a ruler, a straight line between them is a ley line. And southern England has more ley lines than anywhere else on Earth because there's more sacred sites per square mile. I mean, the place is a lace. So it's really interwoven with ley lines, and it's a magnet to crop circles. So the epicenter is the Avebury Stone Circle, which has 3 underground streams meeting in the center. Remember I was talking about where the QEG team was sitting in the Avebury Stone Circle? Mm-hmm. Ground streams meet in this ancient stone circle, and then it's surrounded by these huge farm fields like the flawless canvas, right? And acres and miles. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a magnet. Okay, now go to the green one at the top. This is my favorite, the first one. That one, the Crystal Castle. I have a big history with this one. always feel fun telling the story. It's a long story, but this is my favorite story in my final crop circle movie.
It looks like a jellyfish almost on one side, and then this part on the top of it reminds me of the Led Zeppelin cover where his greatest hits came out, and it was a multi-CD set. This right here, though, kind of looks like a cosmic jellyfish. Did you have an interesting synchronicity in before or after this event?
I love your reading of the crop circles. What decade are you of age?
I just turned 39, born in 77, so the year of the snake.
It's great because your perceptions are fascinating. They're very Guy, and they're in a different generation than I am. And when I tell you the story of my perception of this crop circle, that, see, again, when people say, what does it mean? What does this one mean? I say, well, it actually means something different to everyone because everyone is correct. You're going to see what it is you need to see in that crop circle, and I swear I really think that's the answer because it's all of us. So what you need to see, you're going to see here. For me, here's what happened. So when you said, where did they take you? In 2007, that day when I passed out at Sugar Hill, and I woke up and started seeing things and my hearing was better. Remember that day? Yeah. It took me years to get a regression to see where they took me. And 2 years after that day at Sugar Hill, when my senses were enhanced, I was still dealing with mercury poisoning, hands and Band-Aids, which they still are today, a little bit 12 years later. This is, it's an interesting thing to keep me really focused. I had a regression, and where they took me was a crystal castle. And it had 5 pillars and a star on top, and it was underwater. It was a crystal castle. So I was pretty blown away by that. And 2 years later, a friend came up to the house, and in the regression, I could see it. It was these unbelievable colors. It was underwater. I mean, I was totally, and my boyfriend ran the camera, so that someday down the road, if I wanted to remember, I would listen to it again. I didn't need to listen to it again. I totally remembered once I remembered. And the colors were really remarkable. So 2 years later, a friend comes up to the house who also is a contactee, extraterrestrial contact. And she says, oh, there's this artist. You need to see his work. She lights up her computer, and his name is Ariel Ali, Erialali. Oh, my God, magic art. So she shows me his artwork, and I start to shake. I was like, oh, my God. She shows me the next one, Aetherius City, Arcturus City, and it's where they took me. It's definitely underwater at this place. I'm like, who's this artist? Where's this place? This is where they took me. It was a crystal castle. Oh my God, I got to call this guy in the morning. Right? You following?
Absolutely.
So I wake up in the morning, and I'm like an hour ahead because he's in California, so I'm like stalling. And oh, good, here's a new crop circle today in England from the Crop Circle Connector. I pay him 25 pounds a year, which is like $40 American. And every time there's a new crop circle anywhere, anybody can buy a membership. It's really fun because anytime there's a new crop circle, you get ground shots, air shots, everything. CropCircleConnector.com. I love it. So I get up, there's a new crop circle, and I pop it open, and I realize that when she showed me the Crystal Castle the night before, it was 10:30 at night, which is 5:30 in the morning in England, and prime time because they only have 3 hours of darkness over there to lay down a crop circle. If they do it in darkness at all, it doesn't really matter. And bang, there was the Crystal Castle crop circle. Not the big circle on top, just the bottom part, the Crystal Castle. Can you see that now?
Oh, absolutely. It reminds me of, I'm trying to think of the cartoon that I used to watch as a little kid growing up, and this would have been in the 80s on Saturday, because that's when you got to watch all the great cartoons, was Saturday morning. And there was this specific cartoon that, what were they called, Snorks or something like that? And the castle looked just like that. So, I don't know, maybe that's that pre-programming stuff in the media.
It is indeed. And look at below it. Those are not circles, those are drips of water.
Yeah, you're right. And like a diamond almost underneath that, right? Is that what you see as a diamond, I guess, or is that something else?
About a crystal, a double-terminated crystal.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, crystal. That makes even more sense because it's a double-sided Bingo.
You should hear the music. Oh my God, I love the song. I hear this unbelievable, like, guy just wails on his guitar and he sings, and the song is "You Can Read My Mind." That's what it is. He just waxed it, and just, you can read my mind. So it's like talking to spirit. The earth is listening. Bang! They lay down the crop circle. I see this thing, a Crystal Castle crop circle. I am like out of my mind, going, "Oh my God, they're friggin' talking to me." I don't tell anyone. I am so not telling anyone that I feel like the circle makers gave me a crop circle. You saw something else. You saw a whole Led Zeppelin thing. For me, holy crap, they didn't have the circle. They just had the Crystal Castle with the drips of water down below and the crystal at the base. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. They heard me because I've already made 4 movies. I'm like their little love child slave, laying down these crop circle movies. And so I started talking about it like with my friend, and I said, there's not one circle in that Crystal Castle. Not one circle anywhere. And I went wailing into the crop circle connector of the whole summer. And we had like maybe 50, 55 by then. Every single one had a circle, except the Crystal Castle. And I was like, whoa, this is an exception. Oh my God. I just felt like totally personally moved. I wake up the next day, bang. What I see on top is a very loud circle, twice the size of the Crystal Castle, with a goddess inside. I see the goddess.
I'm looking up right now while you're talking the Greatest Hits album by Led Zeppelin to see how close it is, because they had like multiple. It's a crop circle on the cover. That's why I'm wondering if they're using part of the same.
2012, and it took her, which I find interesting, 2 weeks to open her arms, and those final arms came out. You see, like the wings on the side. That didn't happen in phase 2. That happened in phase 3, and it took her 2 weeks to open her arms. And it's very interesting because I do have trust issues with the human aspect of this business. And it's really interesting because I love what I do, but getting the work out to the world, oh my God, what a wall they've put up, because I found the communication between the balls of light. To me, that's exciting. I said to Mr. Famous, pretend you found it. They'll believe you. Go do it. And you know what? Nobody will do it. Nobody will even acknowledge what I'm doing. It is stunning. Stunning that I've had 2 different distributors hiding my films. I mean, seriously, intentionally, some serious not distributing my films. This is not fun. I do understand why there's no women in the field. This is not fun. On the other hand, William Levengood asked me to do a job from the other side. If he worked this hard to get me here, and I had that experience in the crop circle, that I've made this many films basically in my sleep and then wake up the next day and just make it happen, this is fun. It's fun, but I'm done flying in those little planes with no door on my side, I can tell you that.
I think that'd be about the funnest part. Take me up. I certainly appreciate what you do. I mean, you've got an amazing life path, and I guess the moral of the story is if you want to get an opportunity to maybe check out the Crystal Castle and get a crop circle presented that has you partially linked to it, all you have to do is put together 8 awesome films and about, 10 or so years worth of research and a lot of money.
No. What about the QE crop circle?
I'm totally playing around with you here. I'm having so much fun because this is incredible. I mean, just to really, that experience that you had, whether somebody wants to think it sounds far out there or not, I think it's incredible. And you're presenting it very, like, hey, I don't want to say this because it's going to make me sound far out there, but you asked twice, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you. And really, it doesn't sound crazy to me at all. Now, whether it was a physical experience or, a spiritual or mental or all of the above, it still had an impact. And I've had dreams before. I'm just going to talk about dreams here for a second that have really had big impacts on my life. So to go even to the next level there, I think that that's incredible. And I'm actually looking at the Led Zeppelin cover right now, and the reason I had that connection is because it actually does have a crop circle on the front cover. It's a little bit different, and it's just, these crop circles are amazing, and I'll bet you there's so many different meanings to each one to so many people. So I really appreciate what you do, and I would once again strongly recommend our listeners go to pattygreer.net. You can actually have access to the 8 different films, also these pictures that we've been looking at. These are some real high resolution pictures as well. Patty, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us before we close out tonight?
Well, I think the most important thing is to realize that the UFO films that are being promoted are encouraging us to be scared of the extraterrestrial presence, or they want to call it the alien like it's some enemy force. And really, when we look at what they're doing right now to create the clearest communication between us and perhaps other species, other beings from other planets, they're spending billions to go out into space. Elon Musk, for example, Boeing, NASA, for example, to way out there explore and ask them, please communicate back with these devices that are sending radiation out into your space. And we're pushing harder, and well, they're leaving messages on the Earth, year after year after year, in different countries, you know what I'm saying? They've been leaving messages for 200 years that we know of by way of crop circles like sticky notes in farm fields around the world for centuries, probably. And we do know for sure 200 years, which is the only thing I'm going to say for sure. But the ones that you showed, the beautiful centerpieces, show us that there's a lot of intelligence, because the work that they're doing on the insides of the formation are yet another thing. Right now we're looking at an overall picture of a huge pictogram making a statement of, in my opinion, Crystal Castle, Legatus with her arms open. You know, I'm seeing that. But I think it is some kind of picture, and different people will see different things. They're really communicating. And I think the most important thing I'd like to say is it is time for us to learn to listen. And the more you look at pictures of crop circles, the more you will learn to decipher the messages. And when I do my talks, I start with a heart and a cross and a pentagram. You know, symbols that each of us can recognize. And as you look at this one symbol, it says so many things. Like a cross gives you all of these thoughts. You know, it's like a compressed symbol of all this data. And a Christmas, you know, it's just a word, and then there's all this stuff that comes with it. That's what crop circles are. They're like a picture, a moment, with all kinds of symbols of important information. And all they ask is that we look at the message to receive them. And that's probably why I kept making the movies, even though it's time now. I know they're going to get out to the world. It's about looking at them, looking at the images, the pictures, and listening, because they're telling us a lot, and in a very gentle, beautiful, loving way.
Well, I got to tell you, it sure was a pleasure to speak with you. I appreciate you coming on here with us, the Leak Project. And also, I want to thank you for putting so much time, money, and effort into bringing these films out to the public. You're going to have your own page on leakproject.com. So if people want to have access to your website or work and they haven't heard of you, they can get access to you there. And folks, also make sure to go to youtube.com/clandestine Time Lord. Subscribe on YouTube there. Also, we have one other channel, the William Wallace channel, and that's linked specifically on our homepage at youtube.com/clandestine Time Lord. Thank you for everything. It was great to speak with you.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful evening.
You too. Nice to meet your audience. And everybody, keep your eyes to the skies and remember to love that Mama Earth.
Well said. Absolutely. She treats us well. We need to treat her well.
That's right.
Disclosure. Latest paranormal, crop circles, ETs, Gaia consciousness, Patty Greer, Leak Project. It sure is an honor to have you on the show here with us, the Leak Project. How the heck are you?
I am feeling pretty good tonight. Glad to meet your new audience to my world.
Absolutely. It looks like you put together 8 films. Is that right?
Yeah, I haven't had much social life other than the UFO events. I seem to be born to make movies the last 10 years of my life.
It's got to be fun, especially if you enjoy doing it. Now, I'm on your website right now, pattygreer.net, and before we get started into the podcast as far as the information goes and your findings, let's get to know you personally. I mean, what led you down this path of doing so much research that you put your life pretty much into putting together films?
It was definitely not on purpose. I never planned on it. I never researched it. I went through a bizarre episode with mercury poisoning from silver fillings, and next thing I knew, I woke up from a doctor's appointment a dentist appointment with a mouthful of new mercury fillings when I paid for white porcelain. And as a harpist professionally for 33 years, if spirit wants to get my attention, bang, they took my fingertips. The mercury poisoning affected only my fingertips. And it stopped me from playing music. And it's been an interesting kind of episode, almost like a Disney ride, of mercury poisoning being a gift and a challenge. But ultimately, it really moved me into a way of life that I would have never imagined. So 12 years later, I'm grateful, although my fingertips are still not perfect. I would have never, ever known I was a filmmaker, and perhaps never even looked into UFOs or crop circles.
So it's like the universe pushed you, essentially.
Yeah, kind of the universe pushed me in one of those wingsuits and said, okay, spread and fly, or go straight down. Yeah, I mean, with fingertips as a human, that kind of stinks. But all of a sudden, I decided to spread my wings instead of, jumping the cliff. I said, okay, what other body part can I use? Ooh, how about my brain? And it's amazing when you're no longer able to do the life you knew for a very long time, and you are given an opportunity to do life differently. And for me, I was just so dang desperate to heal. I tried every modality available in America, but I also live in America, so the doctors have to give you the wrong blood test for mercury poisoning in your teeth. I don't want to waste our show on that, but it's a pretty amazing thing they're doing. And bottom line, punchline, get the right test. There's only one place. It's called QuicksilverScientific.com. So if anybody has mercury fillings and you're feeling sick in numerous ways for years, it's probably the fillings in your mouth. But for me, I really think that I needed to be shown the loss of integrity in the world with medical, dental, legal, court. I mean, if I didn't see it firsthand, I would have never believed the bankers were really stealing from people. And my own financial advisor stole from me tens of thousands. I saw it myself. I experienced it. I mean, so I think that those of us that are going to be, it's a weird way to say it, but leading us into a new paradigm way to do lovely life on this planet, had to go through all these horrific experiences firsthand to see that none of this is fake. None of this is conspiracy theory. All of this, unfortunately, really has been happening. And if it happens to us and we're this passionate, we're sure as heck not going to give up on bringing it forward, the solutions. Have you had your tests, Rex?
As far as the mercury stuff goes, no, I don't have much mercury in my mouth, actually. I might have a tiny bit, and that's going to be taken out here pretty soon because I know the effects of it. And I wonder if, I know somebody that actually has constant migraine. She has her pretty much her whole life. I wonder if that could be a cause of it.
Well, I got to tell you, I don't talk about it on radio shows, but when I do, I always get a few thank you letters because people aren't being told. And it's another whole huge thing up there with vaccines. Just another horrible way to get mercury in people's bodies. It's not okay. And to have it in your teeth is really a bad idea. So the test, is being given the wrong test and then nobody knows. But bottom line, Quicksilver Scientific saved my life, gave me the right test. I had the fillings taken out, $10,000 more. And it's taken me years to heal. But what a gift, because I was so desperate to heal. Rex, I went and laid in a crop circle. Who does that?
How'd that work out for you? Did you feel some energy?
The very first one I walked in was like, whoa. I mean, I had no idea. I was just told. But the people that told me looked completely different. I knew them for years, and I could see that they looked different. Energetically, they were completely different frequency. And I see that way with people. I don't remember their name, perhaps, if they told me, but I can certainly see their energy if it changed. And I was like, whoa, stop. What's different about you? And they said, well, we just got back from the crop circles. And this was 2006. I was like, what's that? Tell me. And they explained it, and they said that people are doing all this healing, and that was all I needed to hear. And I was booked on a flight. 6 weeks later, I went in my first crop circle. And the next year I came back was when I got serious. I went for 9 weeks and spent every day and many nights in the crop circles. And that's where I really started to gather the information. But it wasn't like I did research. It was all about experience.
Now, when you go into these crop circles, I've actually heard before that they found like higher levels of radiation before. Have you ever found anything like that?
You know, there's different people looking for different things. I've never gone in with a magnetometer. I've never sat with people who just did a reading, so I don't have that answer. For me, I feel an enhanced electromagnetic field because the hair is standing up on my arms. Little teeny hairs because I'm a girl, but I get tingles head to toe, goosebumps. I mean, I feel crop circles. And I can feel it walking in, 10, 15 feet. I'll turn around to somebody behind me as we're walking in these long straight lines where the tractors drive their tires. It's called a tram line. But as you walk in the tram line, you don't know when the crop circle is over there in the field because you're just looking at a flat line of acres of wheat unless you're up on a hill. And that's about the only way you can tell where they are. They're kind of tricky to find. And all those years I was going, 2006, 7, 8, 10, 11, and 14. I went a lot of years. And I had to skip 2009 because I felt so marked. I was filming a lot, and I was followed by helicopters. And one day I had a very discomforting experience where they circled over me and a lady I was patiently waiting to film, but they circled us at about 50 feet above, tangling my hair for a good 20 minutes. I mean, really, it's an interesting kind of war on consciousness that we're in, don't you think?
Oh, it's beyond that. Not only on our consciousness, but on our bodies. And you look at everything from, I had a really nice conversation the other day with Dr. Paul Byrne, and he has basically made it a mission of his for the past, I don't know how many years, to uncover the organ harvesters, these companies that make billions of dollars getting organs out of people that are still alive. But because of the lobbyists and the bills that have been passed, if somebody, they can classify them as brain dead. And Dr. Byrne said there really is no such thing as brain dead, because once you're dead, you're dead. Now, but anyway, that's a whole other story. So yes, I would absolutely agree with you. There's just this systematic attack on anything that seems to be organic and good in this environment.
Well, that's just a ghastly subject you came up with, as well as what they're doing with children. I mean, this is why we are we are moving into what they're calling the event. And I think everybody has to have something positive to believe in, because can you even imagine how abominable that looks to higher dimensional beings?
Oh, yeah.
Look at what we're doing. I mean, that's really something. And to think of any of this when we have such a great opportunity to do such incredible things now. So the thing about crop circles, why isn't anybody talking about crop circles anymore? And I got to tell you, the most awful thing, for the first time in almost 20 years, our research center at the epicenter closed this year. We have no silent circle for the first time in almost 20 years, because he said to me on the phone, business and interest has gone down 90% in crop circles. What?
Well, I mean, you've got Pokemon Go out now, and I can go watch, the Kardashians